Hello and welcome to WazWatch. I am Matt Wazbinski, and today we are going to be talking about God's Not Dead 2. God's Not Dead 2 is directed by Harold Kronk and is the sequel to the very popular Christian film God's Not Dead. The commercial success of God's Not Dead was phenomenal. It was made on about a $2 million budget and made around $60 million. So of course, we get a sequel. The sequel follows a teacher played by Melissa Joan Hart who is found discussing Jesus with one of her students in her high school history class, and is through a sequence of events sued and potentially fired, and has the chance or has the fear of losing everything she owns to stand up for her belief in Jesus Christ. I'm going to start off this review. For those who do not know, I am a Christian, I am a pastor, and I did not like this film very much. I was okay with the first film, God's Not Dead. I thought it was pretty good. I think it was a little bit heavy-handed and a little bit cheesy, but relatively harmless. This movie kind of follows that same plot. First off, what I liked about the movie, I did like the fact that they tried to make a lot of historical and scientific approaches to believing in Jesus Christ. The film takes a look at the historical person of Jesus and looks at the rights that we have as Americans in sharing our faith. I thought the acting in God's Not Dead 2 was much better than the first film. I think that's because they actually spent the money and went out and got actual actors to play in this film. I liked it a lot more. It was a lot more passionate. It was a lot more structured. The editing was a lot better. One of the things about God's Not Dead that I did not like was there was a million subplots, and they would just jump. And while this one has a 500,000 subplots, they structured it a lot better to where it wasn't you were in here and then you were there. A scene would end and then another scene would begin. I know that's a trivial idea, but they did it a lot better in God's Not Dead 2 than they did in God's Not Dead. The two people I like the most in this movie were the teacher who was on trial and her lawyer. I feel like both of those actors and actresses actually cared about this movie, and they treated it like a job. They were not a well-known Christian who just happened to wanted to try acting, but these were two actors who played their roles very well. Now, while I did really enjoy the trial itself, everything leading up to the trial, for the most part, was baloney. I found it completely ridiculous that something like this would actually happen. Coming from a Christian who has experienced how there's a lot of separation of church and state, how you cannot do religious things inside of school, but everyone who is not a Christian, much similar to God's Not Dead, is a caricature of a bad guy. Literally, the bad lawyer who comes out and says that this person is bad because they're talking about Jesus. I know it's the name of the movie, but he literally, while talking to the parents of the student who was talked to about Jesus, he literally says, "Once and for all, we will prove that God is dead." Okay, maybe the laughing was not in the movie, but it basically could have been. Every time that anyone who is not a Christian is portrayed in this movie, they are shown as angry, they are shown as hostile, they are shown as rude, and it, as a Christian, is massively offensive. Once again, we roll out the newsboys, because the newsboys are the U2 of the Christian community, apparently. And so we roll them out and look at the newsboys and how awesome are the newsboys. And it's a lot of Christian in-jokes, to where if you aren't a Christian, you have no idea what is going on in big chunks of this film. Along those same lines, they have a lot of Christian authors who I respect and I really do enjoy their work, come out and try to pretend to act as witnesses to defend the case for Christ, if you will. Overall, this movie was incredibly disappointing. While I will say it was better than the first, and when it comes to things like filming, editing, acting, shot selection, while watching this film, there were a lot of times where I could not help but roll my eyes. There are those few shining moments, like I said earlier, the trial itself, where they're debating the historical context of Jesus, and there was another scene that I really enjoyed where a person comes to know Jesus. And regardless of whether it's tacky or whether it's lame, whenever someone comes to know Jesus, that's an emotional moment for me, and I really did enjoy that scene in particular. But what bugs me a lot about these films is that they try to portray themselves as something that are popular in the mainstream, and look at how good of a mainstream movie that we can make out of Pureflix or out of a good Christian company. And I'm sure that they have really good intentions while doing that. But all that this movie is a rah-rah, we're right, everyone who's not Christian is mean person, everyone who is Christian is good person. And it really bugs me. Because if I was not a Christian, I would honestly think that Christians don't like me. That I am a bad person, I am a evil person, and I deserve what I get when bad things happen to me. There was one part of the movie that happens pretty early on that really almost messed the whole movie up for me. So I'm going to give a quick spoiler. So if you would like to see the movie and would like I guess it's a spoiler, but it's kind of a small part that happens literally within the first 5 minutes of the movie that kind of sets up story for the rest of it. But it's a slight spoiler. It's a spoiler for God's Not Dead, and I guess God's Not Dead 2, even though it's just a regular plot point. So if you don't want that spoiled, hit mute, and I will let you know when to come back on by like waving my hands or something. So spoiler alert, here we go. There is a reporter who in the first film we find out has cancer. She is your stereotypical I Heart Evolution, Meat is Murder liberal journalist who corners the Duck Dynasty folk and says Christians are bad and I'm right and you're wrong. And eventually finds out that she has cancer, which is this tragic news. She finds out she has no one. Of course she has no one. She's an atheist. Atheists don't have friends. And so her boyfriend breaks up with her. She has no one to talk to until the end of the movie where she talks to the newsboys. And the newsboys pray for her. And they're the newsboys. And it's all great. And yay, Jesus. That is the end of that movie. In the first 5 minutes of this movie, she finds out she doesn't have cancer anymore. And this literally got me mad. The reason it got me mad is because what this movie is basically telling you is when you are a bad atheist liberal, you will get cancer. And then once you meet the newsboys and become saved, Jesus will heal you of your cancer. Now, I am 100% in belief that Jesus can heal you of cancer or any other sickness that you may have. But what this movie specifically does that drives me insane is it says that if you're an atheist or a bad person, God will do mean things to you, you will not have friends, and your life will be horrible. Until you meet Jesus, then you will win at everything, you will win every argument, and everything will work out great. And that drove me insane. All right, back from the spoilers. So overall, few little good parts. If you liked the first movie, you will like this movie. Apparently there was a teaser trailer thing at the end of the credits because they're Marvel, and they hinted to the fact that there is going to be a God's Not Dead 3, which I do not blame them one bit for because they cost $5 million to make, and this film is probably going to make $60 to $80 million. So it would be literally stupid not to make these because people enjoy these movies. And if you are going for a Christian rally, if you are going with a youth group, if you are going with a church group, and you want to be encouraged in your faith, and you want to, we're persecuted because we can't do everything we want, even though some people disagree with us or blah, blah, blah. If you want to be rallied like that, that is great, and you will love this film. If you like the first one, you'll like this one, you'll like the third one, you'll like the eighth one, it's fine. But what I don't like is the fact that people will view this as a success because a lot of Christians go and see a subpar movie. God's Not Dead 2 was a below average film. It was much better than the first one when it comes to acting and some scenes with the passion that was put into it. The editing was much better. There was a lot of really awesome shots, but I think it was just a little bit too much of a cartoon to be taken seriously, where all of the Christians are the good, white, middle to upper class people, and all of the people who do not believe in God are the mad, angry, hateful people. So overall, I'm going to give God's Not Dead 2 a D. I thought it had a few good moments. Some actors were really trying. Some actors were doing really good at their cartoon, evil, bad guy, lightning striking in the background and God shall be destroyed role. So if that's what you're going for, they did a very good job at that. But I still think that it was a very weak film. I think that it could be really cool maybe to check out on Netflix or when it comes to Redbox. But I would say overall it is a D movie, and that would be my grade for it. Well, that's what I thought. What did you think? Did you see the movie? Did you like the first one? Did you like this one more, less? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, our question of the day is, which Bible story would you love to see come to the big screen and get a really good movie done? But is there a particular Bible story that you would love see come to the big screen? I would love to see a movie about David, just sort of like his rise and fall, even maybe make it a 3-part. I think that would be a really cool trilogy to check out. Let me know in the comments down below. As always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos. I really do appreciate when you do that. Feel free to talk to me on Twitter at RealMattWaz, and I would love to hear what you guys thought about the movie and what movie I should see next. I'm Matt Wazbinski. Thank you so much for watching.